the people podcast of the DMV. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about we, and God we trust. Sir Rod and Lady Z, PTP.
Positive thinking people. Good evening, everyone. It's Motivation Monday. What time is it? Man, look, I'm coming on. It's like 7:25. 7:25. Yes, the program supposed to start at 7 o'clock, Rodney. Yeah. With all due respect, please accept my apology for running behind. First of all, I just want to give honor and praise to God. And then I want to just give a little praise to my wife, because my wife said, I was trying to kind of find a way to kind of keep doing what I was doing. And she said, no, go ahead and go on, even if you don't stay on long. And a lot of times when she do that or something, it tells me to, stay dedicated and just do my piece. And I have a message to kind of tell you, and it kind of going to make sense after I talk about the message, how important it is. My topic today is enjoying the fruit of your life labor. Enjoying the fruit of your life labor. And before I get started, a lot of times the conversations that I have, I get from other people. I get from talking with other people and sharing information with other people. And this was part of our Bible study on Sunday, where we are in Proverbs 9. And we were talking, and some very, very dear friends who we fellowship together and sharing information, trying to empower each other. We talked about some real powerful things. So I don't want people to assume that when I get on here that all this is coming out of my head. No. A lot of it comes from conversation with different individuals whom I have the opportunity to share information with and receive information. And I just think it is right that many times when I get on here, they'll say something and trigger my thinking. But then at that point, then I take it and I'll be like, yo, God, you're just amazing how he be setting things up for me. So again, today, the topic is enjoying the fruits of your life labor. What are we talking about that? As a prime example, we were talking about a lot of times say when I come to you and I talk to you, I'm talking to me too. I'm talking about the things that I'm doing and how I'm going about it and what am I seeing, okay? I'm hoping that this message is going to be brief, but I hope that it just hits you right there in the pit of your stomach and you're going to be like, man, I needed to hear this. So hopefully God has put the word in my mouth to come out in a place where it is going to benefit you, and I'm not just here rambling off. This is the People Podcast, and this is People to People, and I'm your host, Rodney Grimes. Again, the topic today is enjoying the fruit of your life labor. And what am I meaning by that? And it's going to lead, when I start with this, I want you to see, because it's going to also go into an area where we're talking about the difference in being planted in the right situations as well. Again, these conversations were out of my Bible study, and I want to just give praise and honor to God first, but also to the people that I have the opportunity to do Bible study with. And it's Charles Faustine King, my dear cousin Missy from down south, my brother Rev Gotti and his wife Tawana and Tawan, and a few other individuals who join in, Booby from California. We merging, man, it'd be powerful. And we got a few other people been joining in here and there, so shout out to them as well. Again, what am I talking about? Okay. Many of us put work in. So when I be talking, I try to talk about the experiences that I have, because I want to talk about facts. I don't want to talk about things that I just make up or whatever. I talk about facts. So what do I do with the People to People podcast? I started out this podcast just on a humble. Basically, I was happened to be on Facebook talking, and I was confessing that I was dealing with depression and some other things. And I saw live, and I just hit it and start talking. And next thing I know, boom, guess what? it started to become a process of something that other people had, that we had something in common, and we was actually able to be able to converse with one another, and also show some support to one another. Now follow me. So it became part of my labor as I started to do this on a daily basis. One time I was doing it 5 days a week. It was just entirely too much. And it was stressing me. But I felt this obligation to do so because I felt that this is what God wanted me to do. So I cut it down to 3 days. And then I included my wife when we started doing date night. And I know a lot of people haven't really been seeing us doing that lately. But we're in the process of really trying to pay attention to our labor. Follow me. We're paying attention to our labor. We're also paying attention to our roots. And you're going to work with me with this, as you see, as I go into the conversation. The fruits of our labor is what I've seen that I've accomplished over the last 3 years that I've been doing the podcast. And I'm in a transition. I'm in a transition doing different things. And I started to look back and I was wondering, was I really gaining anything? I'm looking at my numbers. I'm looking at people talking about me. I'm looking at people not talking about me. I'm looking at what I think I should be doing. And I started to try to see the fruits of my labor and make it make sense. Follow me. I wanted to make it make sense. The fruit of your labor in your relationships, your relationship with God, is it making sense? Your relationships in your marriage, is it making sense? Is your relationship with your money, is it making sense? Your relationship with reality, is it making sense? The fruit of it. Are you really being able to harvest things through the process of your everyday survival to a point where you start to say, I should not do that again, or I should not do this, or I have to stop doing that, or I should try to do this so that I can see the fruits of my labor, which I know that that's God's intent. Now, I tell you, a lot of people get on here. I get on here and some people call it a ministry or whatever. I just talk truth and what I feel and what I feel that I like to share with you. And I'm thinking about my fruit in my life. How is it important to me that the fruit that I bear will be able to also be fruit that will bear seeds that will be dropped into my family, into my grandchildren, into my children. Even though all my children grown, I still can drop the fruits of seeds of life into them. Now, I had to throw the seeds in there because we're going to take the seeds and we're going to plant them and we're going to see where we're going with the roots of the whole thing. But I want you to work with me for a minute. I want you to think about the fruits of your labor of life. Are you really, really doing what is right? Are you really pushing in the direction that you know that you're supposed to go? Now, if you're not a believer in God, then I ain't mad at you. You can believe whatever you want to believe. But one thing I can tell you for sure, I know this, you was born and you're going to die. Without a doubt. You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to believe in the devil or whatever. You can believe whatever you want. I can tell you what is going to be a fact for sure. If you was born, you're going to die. Right? Now, between that time, if it's a baby who was born and it only lived 30 days, hey, it didn't have the opportunity to really plant any roots to drop any seeds. Right? But an individual like myself, who's over 50 years old, should be able to look back and evaluate how you've been navigating through life and how you've been laboring yourself to have your fruits, to be able to say, something, I've accomplished this, I did that, and I'm doing this, and I'm going to succeed at that, where you're going to be able to look back and say, you know what, I planted some seeds in a project, and moving forward, now I am seeing the fruits of my labor. Now, I'm going to jump around a little bit because I got different people that I talk to. And I'm going to tell you some things in the process as I go. Now, I'm going to share with you. And I hope that somewhere along the line that somebody is going to really, really be able to pick up something from this. And you're going to really feel like, say, hey, man, this was making sense. because it's all about the fruits of your labor. It's all about the fruits of your labor. And just work with me. I'm messing with something right now. Let me see. I'm trying to. Oops. I'm messing with some stuff. But it's imperative that we pay attention to the fruits of our labor. Okay, pay attention to the fruits of our labor. Now, and I'm stay on point here. When I was thinking, and I'm starting to see where I'm going, and think about tomorrow, what is really happening with my everyday survival and the people that I network with. Do you notice sometimes in the process of you laboring through your day that you got to watch who you labor beside? You got to watch who you labor with. You got to watch who you are bringing into your arena when you are laboring to receive some glorification of success. That you want to see your fruits grow on on that life journey where you plant that root. Now let's get to the root part, okay? That we was talking about this, and this is some powerful stuff right here. We got where you're working, you're putting the work in, and this is like that farmer or the person who just going in back of the garden and trying to make the yard look pretty, and they putting that work in, that labor. They put the labor in, and then they starting to plant different things here. That's what I did when I started the podcast. I started planting seeds that I wanted to see develop into something real powerful, like People to People. It first was called Real Talk Live with Rodney Grimes. But guess what? When I start putting the work in, God said that this is going to keep expanding and keep expanding. And then when he said, you know what? He took me from the studio, and then he took me to Tyson's Corner. He put me out there in an intelligence office out there where I met some fantastic people, and I start to see the fruits of my labor moving forward. I'm talking at a level that was phenomenal with the support that I was getting from these individuals. And I realized something in the process of me moving. I started to see that my laboring was not going in vain, that I was making progress. And I'm not talking about just progress going out to Tyson's. I'm talking about dealing with people, dealing with myself, dealing with my marriage, dealing with my friends, dealing with my family, dealing with everything, and mainly my relationship with God. I had got to a point where I started to find myself where I was able to start seeing where, something, some of my fruit that I'm putting out there is sour. Some of my fruit is rotten. Some of my fruit is not getting seeds. And I start to realize, I said, I got to look at my process as I move forward and understand my purpose. And not let it be that my laboring go in vain based on somebody else who don't have interest in seeing me grow. But I look at my fruits and I can look around me. And you know what I start to realize that my fruits really were? The satisfaction within myself that I started to say, you know what, Rodney? You're all right. You're all right, God. You're doing something to help the community. You're doing something to network with other people. You're trying to be a blessing to other people. When I was doing my events, and I still will, we got more coming. In 2024, it's going to be phenomenal. I told y'all back in 2020, I told you back in 2019, I said, watch me as I move forward. Let me tell you something. A good friend, family member, gentleman called me a couple of days or a week or so ago, and he was telling me about some changes that I needed to make. He was telling me, but don't give up. He said, because you got a lot of people looking at you, maybe not calling, and they might not even say doing a good job, but they're paying attention, right? And he told me, he said, you basically what he said, you're planting some good, you're putting that labor in, and you get ready to see the fruit of it. That's basically what he was telling me. And then here I go. Let me bring in the part about the roots. Okay, come on, work with me now. In the process of everything that I'm doing, I started trying to plant seeds, and I started to try to figure out where I was going to do it. So what I decided to do, I went out to Tyson's Corner because I tried to do it in Forestville, but it didn't work. The ground out there wasn't letting me plant the seeds properly. So I ended up in Tyson's Corner, the intelligence office, and I started planting seeds right there. And guess what? I started seeing things sprouting up. I started meeting different people. I started getting some support here, and people was giving me ideas over there, and they were saying, yo, man, we like what you're doing. And I realized in that process of me doing that guess what? I was seeing some of my fruits, and I was planting some seeds that are now starting to develop. And the seeds that I'm planting are now getting to a point where they are rooting, right? What about you? Are you planting the proper seeds in all your projects? Are you paying attention to the person in the other garden and you're not really watering yours, fertilizing yours properly to make sure that the seeds that you're planting for your labor, that you're going to see some fruit, you're going to see some success? And it's not based on money. Oh my God, I'm trying to tell you. I start to realize that. You can drive a fancy car, you can have fancy clothes, you can have all that. You could be a beautiful walking around trash can. Come on now. But I'm talking about the seeds that you're planting that will manifest some things in your life journey that will become foundation of your fruits of your labor. And what does it do? Let me tell you what God is doing. God has put me in a position to tell me, say, Rodney, what you want to see, you watch other people, but don't envy them. Just watch how you fertilize your dreams. Watch how you move in your direction. And make sure you do it with a clean heart and a clean mind, not to be stepping on other people as you go. Don't be envying anybody for what they have, because guess what? If they die, they can't take it with them. Let me tell you something. You could be riding around in a beautiful, beautiful car. You could be riding around looking like Elvis Presley's son, or one of the Jacksons, or somebody, even Prince's nephew. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You could be walking around really, really, everybody like, oh man, look, they look good, he look good, she look good. And guess what? But the fruits of their labor ain't really planting no roots. Not planting the roots in a way that is going to be beneficial in the way of God. I know some people used to tell me they was like a pastor. And guess what? They run around drinking and smoking more than anybody that I know, running around doing some craziness. I laugh at them because I look at the fruit of your labor. I can tell you, you look good, but let me tell you something. Everything that look good ain't good. You know, sometimes what happens when you plant something, you start planting a seed, and what happens, you end up planting the seed in the soil where it got weeds that will grow up, and then weeds will start to overpower you in your process of doing what you want to do. Are you with me? Come on now. I'm just trying to tell you, I want you to think about the process of everything you're working on. If you're working on a foundation, then guess what? You got to put the work in, and you got to fertilize it so that it will grow, that the roots will start to lock in. And let me tell you something. This was in our studies. We talked about, I'm still in this one from you, Charles. I'm still in this one. You talked about the pine tree and the oak tree. What are you? Do you know that the pine tree, as he explained, that the roots, they grow out, they don't grow down, they grow out sideways. And when the wind comes, the pine tree, it waves. It waves. And sometimes what happens, it waves, and the wind is so hard, and when it's blowing, that it take that pine tree and just pull it right up out of the ground. But if you're one of those individuals who's like an oak tree, right? Coming up, and we're going to talk about this because this was some powerful information that I got. Oh, man, it was so powerful. You like the oak tree. The oak tree, you know them oak trees not to be played with. And then when they start up, you know what? This was something else out of the study. Got to give this one to Ms. Faustine. She was saying, you know, sometimes when they come up out of the ground, they come up, and they look the same. You can't hardly tell which one is which. Sometimes during the fruit or the process of your labor, you're looking for the fruit and you're not seeing it because you're not going about it the right way. So you're seeing not everything the way it really is. One of it's the weed and the other one is the tree. One of them is the weed and one of them is the tree. And if you plant it down and you watch it, that when they come up, sometimes they start up the same way. People start up the same way, saying they got your back, saying they're going to help you, saying they're praying for you, saying they're going to donate to you, saying they're going to call you, saying they're going to come and see what you're doing, saying that they're going to subscribe to your channel, saying that, man, they're going to send you an email here and there. They're going to send you some encouragement. You know, you have, guess what? The ones that don't, they like the weeds. In the same area, same dirt. Some of them that just come and want to see what they can get from you, like the weeds. Now in the forest, guess what? It's a lot of oak trees. Not just one. And them oak trees, they be growing in that what they do. And now let me tell you something, especially when you got God in your life and you become not a pine tree, but an oak tree in your process of growing with your labor, where you're going to see something come out of there. And I'm talking about sometimes you can be like a tree, like a cherry tree or an orange tree or a peach tree. Come on now. Here I go, Faustine. I got to give it back to you. Something she was talking about. You know, during the process of you doing your labor of life, when you're moving forward, what happens? Sometimes you plant things and it don't be in the right season. This is your job. This is your project. These are the things that you're doing. You got to look at all the people around you. A lot of them are like weeds. But also you got a lot of them that are trees, of different type trees, not just oak trees. You got some pine trees that serve their purpose. We got different pine trees they use for Christmas trees. And people look at them and have fun with them. And it's the fruit of that labor that it goes until you can get something out of it. Are you working with me? What I'm saying, think about your relationships. Are you putting the work in? Are you really putting the work in to make sure that the fruit of your labor? Now, let me tell you how that works. The fruit of that, when you start out in a relationship and you just start laying around and y'all just met just because y'all want to bump booty or something like that, check this out. That's not planting the right seed. Because as you move forward, you'll find out that you end up hooking up with a weed that's not going to carry you in the direction where you need to be going. It is something for you to understand that I'm going to tell you, you got to watch it. And I just want to just do some shout outs to some people. Angela from Arizona, Rachel, how you doing? Kim Thornton, hey, love you, baby. How you doing? Peace and blessings to you. To everybody that's just coming in, I just want to let y'all know God is good and I appreciate you. Keep me in prayer. Walk with me where I'm at. I want you to look back on your process of your laboring. I want you to ask, what are you? Are you a weed? Are you a pine tree? Are you a peach tree? Are you an oak tree? You know, sometimes if you think about it, you got to look at the process of what you're doing and see how it benefits others. Where is it going to be? Because what do? We don't do nothing but take up space. Huh? Weed don't really lock down. You can pull a weed up real easy. But once that oak tree, oh my goodness, if you're an oak tree and you start locking down and your roots start to grow down and they start to go in different ways, it's almost like they start locking in like this and they lock into the earth. And what happens, they find you find that the wind come through it, that thing don't move. It might move at the top, but at the bottom it's sturdy. Because it's the labor of its process as it's been developing. Even that tree is putting work in, putting the roots down so that they lock in. Are you locking in? And are you around weeds? And are you trying to be fruitful so that you can bless other people? You know, I don't mind being a peach tree. But like Faustine said, you know, sometimes it'll be a peach tree. You can bring a peach tree and try to grow it in Washington, D.C. And let me tell you something, it may not grow like it's supposed to. It'll grow, but grow it down in Georgia when the peach time come in. Oh, my goodness. You grow it up here, you bite into it, you be like, what's that? You grow it down there and it's in season. It's running all down your mouth. And see, what I'm talking about when I use this metaphor, I'm trying to tell you to think about what you're doing in your life. How are you really moving forward? How are you handling yourself? You got to put yourself in positions that you're locked in to what God has given you. He's giving you an opportunity to make a difference in other people's lives and not be selfish. You've got to be where you are able to say, you know what? I have put my labor in and I can see the process of it, especially after we get up in our 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. And believe me, yes, we live that long and longer. And if we think about where we at there, let's go back to the fruits and the seeds that we're planting right now. Look at our kids. We ain't planting good seeds right now. I'm telling you, we got to get it under control, because I'm going to tell you something. We planting some seeds and a lot of weeds is coming up. Poison ivy, them little weeds that drown out your grass. That's them 13, 14-year-olds out here trying to carjack. Mugs trying to rob somebody and shoot them just because they want to say that they killed somebody. Those are weeds. The drugs that's taking over in our schools, the opioids and all that craziness. The weeds that we're allowing to get into office that's not doing their job. That's claiming that they out here trying to fertilize and be a process of our labors. And what we're seeing is nothing but weeds coming up. We as individuals have to be responsible for our action. And let me tell you something. When you talk about you going to a meeting with somebody and you tell that you care, let me tell you what a man told me. Don't go into the meeting talking about everything you got going on. Go in there and talk about what you see they doing and find out how you can help them. Become like the fertilizer. You know, somebody who's planting a seed, become fertilizer for them. Guess what? When their fruits start to come out, believe me, you'll be able to eat too. It's almost like the oak tree. Once the oak tree really get big and strong, guess what? It's going to provide something for you. It might even provide a little bit of wood, some firewood to get you warm. It might even provide some shade to keep you from getting sunburned. It's going to do something for you. And what are you doing? We have to understand this process. I'm just asking you, enjoying the fruit of your life labor, that it becomes a process that your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren will be able to benefit from it. And that you're locked down into the ground of life and be able to have a form of something that's so sturdy that nobody can pull it up. The only thing they can do is just probably carve their initials in there and say they was there with you, that they was a part of the process. We got to pay attention to our laboring. We have to pay attention to the fruits that we are bearing. And what are we doing to each other? And what we're doing to give people support and making this thing something that's real positive for us to keep moving forward. I tell you that during the process of me, I just started thinking, and I was talking to my daughter, and I was telling my daughter, I said, baby, just keep doing what you're doing. Do what you're doing, but understand in the process, you got to watch the seeds that you plant. Watch the seeds that you plant, because some of the seeds that you plant, if they're not properly and not ordained by God, they'll be coming up like weeds to come back to haunt you. And I'm telling myself that, and I'm sharing that message with you. Look at the fruits of your labor of life and figure out, are you doing it the right way? You know, you got some people, let me tell you what I realized. Some people I don't really care for, right? But some things go bad around them. And I find out that, you know, something, I say, well, you know, what's the right thing to do, Rodney? The right thing to do is to show some gratitude or a little forgiveness here and there, or just to say, hey, I understand you're going through a rough time, and say, yo, I'm here to say, yo, I'm sending out some prayers for you. You know what that is like? That's planting seeds. That's planting seeds. When you know somebody like Black in the City, my man Mark Durrett, who's out here, he's not hustling in a negative way. He's out here selling product for his clothing line, right? And how many people that know him, including myself, now I try to throw him out there as much as I can, but you know, I really could do more. I should. I should help as he plant the seed. I should fertilize him. I should fertilize him. Even if I ain't gonna worry, do something to help fertilize him. Queen Rachel with a magazine. Let me tell you something. A magazine that's giving you information about along that haul with that COVID, giving you information about how to eat and take care of yourself. We talk about unfiltered, the good fight with Demetria. We talking about lessons learned with Khalid. We talking about your health is your wealth with Horace Williams, who's out here talking to individuals, even myself, telling me, yo, man, get your life together. Coach Marie Price Hughes, who's out here trying to tell you, you know, when you need somebody to help you along the way, they saying, come on. We talking about planting seeds in all different directions. I got a cousin, he don't want to come on, but guess what? He plants seeds in my thoughts almost every week or every 2 weeks. We talk on a regular basis. And the fruits of his labor is information he shares with me. And in that process, we plant seeds together. He knows that I repeat a lot of things he say, and many people know that. But that's the fruit. That's the fruit that they bear, that they don't mind sharing. And me, that I'm planting my roots down with people to tell you or to share with you that we got to come together. Why do I do this? It's because God tells me. He puts it in my spirit. You have no idea. You have no idea my struggles with this. I be thinking about people. I was watching something with TD Jake, and I've been around TD Jake several times, more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, okay? In the presence, I'm talking about in the presence of really right neck to neck listening to this man talk. And I realized something. I said he plants many seeds. And in this process of him planting the seeds, I wonder how many people are really taking the information, fertilizing it, and putting it into the process that they can say that the life labor that they're putting forth is going to bear some fruit that they're going to be proud of and look around and say, you know, I helped this person, that person, that I was a blessing to this person and that person. Not just being about yourself, but I'm talking about being where you could be able to be proud about who you are. The one thing that I can say right now, I already know for a fact. See, my grandboys, my grandboys, when they see their grandfather, let me tell you something, they're not going to be able to, I'm not a bum. I'm an OG for real. Okay? And I'm handling my business. My sons, all of them, they gonna look at me. They can't look at, I'm not a bum. I'm out here handling my business. And everybody ain't gonna like what I do in the way I say it. But that's okay, because I'm still bearing my fruits of life. And I'm dropping seeds. And I'm trying to do it in a way that I'll be a blessing, that not only to myself, but them. When we do the networking events out at Tyson's Corner at the intelligence office, let me tell you what we do. We plant seeds of relationships. We plant the seeds to say we're moving forward. We got so many people that'll come out and they'll be like, this is amazing. Shout out to Malik. What's up, my brother? How you doing? And Gerald, how y'all doing, man? You know what? I'm right now, I'm just speaking truth. How many of us? Malik, bro, you already know what we do. How many times you plant a seed in the process of your laboring? Our conversations that you talk to me and you say, yo, Rock, do this, look at this. You know, and it's not to a point that it's about a selfishness, not to take advantage of one another, but I'm talking about to uplift each other. Some of us are pine trees. I'm an oak tree. Matter of fact, no, let me take that back. I ain't no oak tree. I'm like a peach tree. I want you to bite part of my process of life, and you be like, dang, not only do it taste good, but let me tell you something, it look good and it feels good, and guess what? It's nourishing. It got some vitamins in it. You know what I mean? No disrespect to nobody. But I'm telling you, you got to pay attention to your movement and how you're going about things. And let me tell you something. It's imperative that you know that you are setting a tone to put your roots right down into the ground. Right down into the ground where you're able to say, this is what I need to do. I'm gonna tell you. It says, okay, and I'm telling y'all, you know, I appreciate everybody, man, that you put your comments in, and guess what? Let somebody else listen to this message, man. Sit down and play it back. Y'all ain't got to listen to the whole thing, but I'm gonna tell you something. Think about it. Are you enjoying the fruits of your labor? And don't give up. When it starts to get rough, don't give up. Keep on watering it. Sometimes you can go and you can have the wrong fertilizer. That means the wrong friend. Friend turned out to be a weed. When you a tree, lending shade, giving them some firewood to burn into their house to warm up with, turn out they be weeds. But guess what? You know what you do with the weeds, don't you? You get some weed killer, pull them up, you know, or go get a goat, let the goat eat them. But you got to understand during your process, be aware of your fruits of your labor in life. And remember, when you plant seeds, plant them in the right soil, the right surrounding with the right people. Not where the people are going to see you planting something and then try to take advantage of you. Forget who you are. Forget about your struggles. Be the type of person that you plant the seeds and you plant and then hold some seeds to give to your neighbor. You want to be a aspiration. You want to be somebody that's going to be a blessing to other people, man. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't know many people that don't want to get recognized for helping somebody. You don't have to do it because you want to get an award, but you like it when somebody said, that was really kind. Thank you. It makes you feel good. It just makes you feel real good when you help somebody just because you want to, not because you need something. Help somebody just because you want to plant a good seed. Then in the process of your labor in life, you'll be able to see some of the fruits when you see that person having success because of something that you did. It is so powerful for us to do this. Now, let me tell y'all something. Going in 2024, I got something for you. I will not be giving in. The oak tree is a storm versus a pine tree. Okay. Daniel, my man, Simplify, baby, come on with me. He said the oak tree will turn up roots and all, and the pine tree branches will snap and break off. Hi, I love it. Did you hear that? If you're the oak tree, but if it comes up, it's pulling everything with it. Did you know that an oak tree will tear up your sidewalk? It'll pop that concrete right in half. You know that if your oak tree roots keep growing towards your house, that it'll come right through the concrete? That people don't understand. Hello there, James. James, how you doing? Lisa James. Boo Jones. I want you to think about what you're planting. Think about your journey. Think about where you are and how you're operating. And look at the people around you. Get rid of the weeds. Because not everybody is for you. Some people come play right in your yard only to try to steal your toys. You got some people come around and they mad because you are being consistent and they want to be resistant. They looking at you trying to judge you when they should be up there trying to uplift you. I went out to intelligence office out there, and I met some people that didn't know me from Adam and Eve. Okay, they didn't know where I came from, how I got there, and they didn't know what I was about. But when they start to get to know me and they see that they saw the seeds that I was trying to plant, I started to get some really good friends. People, or should I say associates, people that I don't mind networking with, people who was giving me some good ideas. I wanted to tell you, man, shout out to them out there, man. Harry and Brandon, all the young ladies, the receptionists, all of them, Sarah, man, I mean, I'm getting a little tongue tied. Anna, you know, Ginger, who's out there, she has the drip process where you can get your vitamins and stuff like that. Now, let me tell you, going into 2024, I want to be better prepared. One of the things I'm just doing, I'm still planting seeds. I'm trying to lock in my roots. So I get on here, even when I'm running late, I get on here and I still do what I do. I hope that during the process, when you hear my conversation, go back on YouTube and watch some of them. I know you're probably saying, who Rodney think he is? I'm going to tell you who I am. I am Rodney Grimes, and I'm a man that really care about you. I care about my brothers and sisters. I don't care whether you're Hispanic, if you're Japanese, Puerto Rican, black, white. Hey, as long as you ain't trying to eat me, I'm all right. You know, I'm you know what I'm saying? I'm talking like some Martian or something. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I can say some stuff, man. Sometimes my wife would look at me and she say, "No, you ain't just say that." But it is what it is. God is good. And I just want to say to everybody who's been supporting me, man, I got so many supporters out there. You know, I'm Chris Evans, man. Hey, my brother, when you called me and talked to me, man, and you laid some rules down and gave me some ideas, man, I don't think I didn't pay attention. I'm working. I'm planting seeds, bro. I got a whole new foundation getting ready to come for 2024. I got something that, you know what, I'm gonna stay grounded. I'm gonna get back. We get back doing production. We're gonna be doing some shows. And shout out to Skinner Scat. Let me tell you something. They got they got a award show going on November 19th. This Sunday coming up. He's been nominated, man. Oh man, I'm so proud of this brother, man. I'm so proud of him. Guess what? He planting seeds. And I don't look at him like no pine tree. He like one of them oak trees, boy, because he locking in. Demetria, another one, locking in. Khalid, another one, lesson learned, locking in. Come on. I'm telling you, it's different people, man. They planting seeds and they locking in and they doing what they do. Players World. They locked in, they dropped seeds long time ago. Guess what? They got branches. Huh? Come on now. We got different people out here doing things. But let us get to a point where we look at our fruits and see how we're going about things and become a blessing for other people, not just for ourselves. And look at your relationship. Let me tell you something. Let me go to the relationship to talk about that part. Individuals who are in relationships, you got to think about your labor of your relationship in order for you to see the fruit of it. You can't always go in there with your hands out, meaning that you want somebody to put something in it. Sometimes you go with your hands out and have something to give, right? In your relationship. You're not going to be right all the time. Sometimes you got to go back and look at the process of what the seed that you was planting and realize that you just planted a little rotten seed that possibly could turn into a root into your relationship because of your selfishness or your narrow-mindedness, where you're just not paying attention to the other people's feeling or the other person feeling. In order for you to move forward, let me tell you, I have to go back sometimes and apologize. I have to go back sometimes and say, this was not right. I'm not right all the time. And nor is my partner. But in that process, we look at our labor as we start to plant the seed within our relationship to take us to a point where we start to try to build a strong foundation to keep moving forward to be successful in life. And success don't mean you have to be a man with a woman with a whole lot of money. Because let me say, money don't make you. Money do not make you. Money's good to have in this world, but you can't take it with you. You know what's really the best thing that you can have is a good, clean soul. That when people think about you, I got people that I think about that just cross my mind every time I think about them. I smile. I smile. I smile with love. I smile with joy. My mother-in-law, let me tell you something. It's not one time that I thought about her when she was alive and even in her transition that I don't smile. Every time I think about it. That woman was a fertilizer for me. And not everybody in your life is going to be that. But that woman was for me. She was a serious piece of fertilizer. I tell you, it was sometimes she could just see me and say hello, and it was like she just watered me. It was times that she would ask me questions, and I felt like she just put some fertilizer in me. And I have other people that do that. My brother Malik, you're one of those brothers, man, to do that. I thank you. I thank you for your fertilization. I thank you for what you do for me. I appreciate that. And I just want people to know that it's powerful. It's powerful. Consistency is the key. Consistency is the key for real. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, Dane, what you talking about? Did I have to make it rhyme? Let me tell you something, bro. Don't get me to rapping on here. I can get down too. But I just do it naturally. I'm a poet at heart, bro. Hey, but no. Hey, it's just sometimes when the spirit or God be talking, it comes out whichever way. Long as I ain't using no profanity. How about that? Much love. God has so much for you. You know what? God has so much for us. God has so much for us, and I believe that. He said, Boo Jones, I like to be like the palm trees. They have the strongest roots and flexible. The palm is made from the most violent storms, and it bends all of the way over, but never root up, or it never uproots. Then when the storm are over, they pop right up like new. You know something? We have a lot of different trees, and we got a lot of different weeds. We can pick which tree. I told you I would like to be a peach tree, or maybe an apple tree. Huh? I would like to be that kind of tree. Faustine, you already know what we're talking about. I want to be the peach tree that's in season. And I don't want to be planted down here by the Potomac River. I want to be planted out there in the Georgia ground where they when they come in season, that when you go pull one off, you just need to wipe the dust off of it and bite into it and it just be dripping. I'm trying to tell you. So I started a little late, and man, let me tell you something. God is amazing. I made up my time. I'm making up my time. So I'm gonna give you about another 5-10 minutes, and I'm gonna be out of here. But I want you to know something. Look at the fruit of your labor of life. Understand what you're doing. Get to a point where you want to make a difference, and make it so that you don't be like the weeds in the process of somebody planting a garden where they're trying to be successful and grow flowers, or they want to grow a nice little shade tree. When a person has a business, do something to help them. Let me tell you something. In this country, we are so backwards and so many things, and we can't blame it on just because of the color of our skin. It's the process of our spirit that dictates some of the things that we struggle with. And I tell you, it is so important. Yes. Everyone that plants a seed expects some kind of fruit. They do, and there's nothing wrong with that. You want to expect some success. You want to expect some blessings. And when you do it from the purity of your heart, guess what? It's going to happen. And sometimes, let me tell you something, like myself, sometimes it's just not the right time. Sometimes it's just not your season. And sometimes you don't even have a reason. You don't even know why it went this way or that way. But what you can do is really plant the seed, water it with goodness and the blessing of God, to be able to say, you know what? My intent is to do the right thing. they become something that somebody will be able to be blessed with and utilize it in their process. You know, in a forest, one tree don't make a forest. Think about that. And what happened when you get all these trees and let me say, oh come on, oh man, God just gave me a vision about something. Oh man, think about all the trees and all the weeds and poison and ivories and all this thing is growing. But what keep growing and goes to the top? They can see over the mountains and can see up in the sky. Some of them just reaching into the clouds. Those big trees that's planting those powerful roots, and they providing all type of homes for people. I mean, not for people. Well, for people too. It says, yes, in due season. Daniel, from the purity of your heart, stay right there. You know where that comes from? That comes from the glory of God. And you right is is many different type of trees. And I tell you something, Lisa. Let me tell you something. Excuse me. Those trees are in the forest. And then people, oh, come on now. God just said, he sent another one to me. Let me tell you something. We talking about when we planting. Okay, what kind of tree are you? Do you know what else trees do? Trees are the filter of the world, of the planet. Without the trees, do you know we wouldn't survive? They filter. They filter air. Help us with the oxygen. A lot of people don't even know that. What are you? Or what kind of tree are you? Or are you a weed? Now, I do know this, and somebody said this to me too. Do you think that God made everything perfect? And one time I said no. I had to retract that. God made everything perfect, even the weeds. He sure did. He made the weeds that come in and to get your attention, to know what not to do. He gave the weeds that come in, and sometimes some of the weeds, after you crunch them up and scratch them up and everything, they become like a little fertilizer too. God made everything perfect. It's just what you do with it in the process of it and how you deal with it. For the weeds that, like the people that don't want to help you, get rid of them. Pull them up, sit them to the side, go plant yourself somewhere else. And in your journey, pick what kind of tree you want to be. You know, ain't nothing wrong with a pine tree. Pine trees smell good. Pine trees have their purpose too. You might want to be a pine tree. You might want to be able to bend and roll with the wind. You might want to be that kind of tree. I ain't mad at you. But understand your journey. Understand your labor of life. Understand what it means. And how does it work for you? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I love you all. And I just give glory and praise to my Father God. And I thank for all the ones that tuned in. Please let somebody else hear the message. And if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, please do so. Shout out to my brother Tap. Man, I send peace and blessings to you and your family during these hard times right now. Hey, man, I love you, bro. And we had one of my siblings had a death that affected her pretty bad, and I send peace and blessings to her. I'm not going to say what it all is, but it's love. You know what I mean? It is what it is, and I thank God for the weed that came around me that made me start to see that I didn't want to be like them. I'm glad they came. That was part of God's journey. I didn't want to be like them, and I can tell you this: I thank God for the tree that dropped the seed in the ground and gave me life, my mother. I thank God for my mom. Strong tree. A strong tree. And my mom, I just love her because all of the fruits of her labor in one way or another came down and helped me. And believe it or not, I can say a little bit about my crazy father too. Some of his fruits, I benefited from them. That's a whole nother story. I said peace and blessings to you. I want to tell you I love you. Let me tell you something. Pay attention to the fruits of your labor. Pay attention to the fruits of the labor of your life. Pay attention to the type of seeds that you're planting and where you're planting them. Understand the difference between a weed and a tree. Understand that when it grows up, when they start out, they all look the same. But guess what? If you watch them and you maintain a patience and you watch the way God be moving, you'll be able to identify the weed from the tree. And as you move forward, you can find out which one you are. Next time, I want to tell y'all a little bit about the flying part. You know, what kind of bird you are. That's another one. Hey, I love you. Peace and blessings. Yeah, let me see how I'm going to close this out. Y'all know, I hope y'all like my little ending thing. I'm just going to, I'm gone. See you.